When should I go to the emergency room? That's a question that's come up in multiple forms throughout multiple comments in a lot of my last videos. And the opinions on that vary. Some people lean towards the side of it's better to avoid it as much as possible. A lot of those times it's people who have had similar experiences, who have spent a lot of time in the hospital, gone to the emergency room a lot, and generally those types of people are like, I try to avoid it as much as I can. I've been there often enough. I kind of know when it's right to go, when it's not right to go. And, that's kind of the direction I tend to lean in. And then there's the other people who are like, why risk it? Better to be safe than sorry. And they're like, just go whenever there's a slight thing wrong, whenever something could possibly be wrong, just to be safe. And I understand both points of view. It's just, for me personally, I'm kind of part of that first camp of I've been there often enough to know, like, unless it's extreme, unless I really need to go, unless there's actually something wrong, I don't want to waste my time in an emergency room. It's not pleasant. Being in the hospital in general is not pleasant, so I try to avoid it as much as I can. And yeah, okay, maybe that means I suffer a little more than I need to, but I prefer suffering a little more than, being in that environment. So it's just a question of choice. And the reason why I'm talking about this today is because I had a call with my pivot nurse this morning, and we kind of discussed all these symptoms that I kept her up to date on and what the strategy is, whether I should or should not go to the ER, stuff like that. And before we get into that, I just kind of want to explain if you've, maybe it's different from country to country, it probably is. And, if you've never had cancer, never experienced anything like this, then you're probably not familiar with the concept of a pivot nurse. I was not before this. So basically, she's my first point of contact whenever I need to reach out to someone at the hospital. So if I need to get in contact with my oncologist, one of my four radiotherapists, one of my two neurosurgeons or neurologists, I would go through her first, and then she would determine, all right, either I'm going to get the information from your doctor, get back to you with an answer, or I'm going to ask him to call you so he can answer your questions directly. But she's always my first point of contact. Same thing for whenever I have symptoms of any kind, such as throwing up blood, not being hungry, being like feeling like crap, not being able to sleep, being exhausted, breathlessness, increased coughing. I could go on and on because at this point there's been a lot of symptoms. But anytime there's something that seems worth sharing, she's always the one I reach out to. And the way it works, I don't know if it works this way for every hospital or every country, but basically I just call her up, leave her a message explaining the situation, the symptoms, and then she calls back whenever she gets a chance. If it's a weekday, she's usually calls me back the same day unless I call around 4:30, something like that. Sometimes she doesn't have a chance and she calls the next day, but she does answer very quickly. So that's pretty much her role that she plays. So, given all the symptoms I've had recently, I reached out to her twice this weekend, and it was a long weekend, so once on Sunday and once on Monday, explaining all the symptoms I had and everything. And she got back to me around, I think, 9 this morning, so relatively early on her first day back. And, she covered everything. So she's like, all right, regarding the eating, actually, first of all, regarding the coughing, because I've noticed in the past few days that I seem to have really this heaviness in the lungs, this sensation that everything's kind of like stuck and closed and clogged up whenever I wake up. She's like, that's normal. Phlegm is a normal side effect of radiotherapy. There's nothing to worry about as long as, but the process of coughing in the morning, that kind of expulses most of the phlegm and opens up the passageway. And as long as it goes back mostly to normal, there's nothing to worry about. Everything is fine. If ever it does not go away, it remains throughout the day, then it's something to worry about. Give me a call and we'll determine what to do at that point. But for now, things on that front seem to be going pretty well. There doesn't seem to be an issue. So even though, yes, it does make it a little difficult for me to sleep because there's always a coughing bout and like breathing issues whenever I wake up, and I wake up multiple times throughout the night, it's nothing to worry about. It's just part of the process. The coughing turns out that even though in the beginning I was worried maybe that sucking on ice cubes, even though it was helping for the coughing, was kind of tricking my body into thinking that I was eating when I wasn't. She's like, nah, for now, like, given everything you've been through recently, the most important thing is not you eating. Yes, that is important, but it's you remaining hydrated. That is the most important thing. So because of that, it is good that you're sucking on ice cubes throughout the day. Make sure you're always hydrated, and at the same time, it helps for the coughing. So keep doing that. I also started taking those electrolyte drinks. I forget, I forget the name. There's a specific brand that we have here in Canada, and the name just every time I see it, I just think pterodactyl, because the first couple letters, last couple letters are the same, and to me, it's like I never bothered to learn how to pronounce it properly. I think it's like pediatal or something like that. I don't know. To me, I just associated with pterodactyl. So anyway, I drink 500 milliliters of pterodactyl. Wow, if you think about it, I'm basically drinking dinosaur pee, but yeah, it's not that. So let's not go there. So I drink 500 milliliters of that in the morning. That helps with electrolytes, helps to make sure I'm hydrated. Also, for the last few days, I've been eating a slice of watermelon. So once again, that helps for hydration. And also the sugar, the natural sugar from that also helps for the body. And I've noticed that whenever I throw up in the morning, and that is pretty rare, it's before I eat. When I brush my teeth, and the brushing of the teeth triggers my gag reflex, and that causes me to throw up. So far, I've never actually thrown up anything that I ate in the morning. So, breakfast, so the watermelon and the pterodactyl pea. And that I've never thrown up. She's like, if ever you do, just make sure to drink another 500 milliliters just to replenish what you lost, because it's very important at this point that you don't get dehydrated. Obviously, food also, eat as much as you can, but just make sure that you keep it down as much as possible. So she's like, for nausea and to avoid vomiting, keep taking what you're currently taking, the Zofran. And she's like, if ever you need like to treat, like you need a little extra something else, just take some gravel. So I did buy some back in the beginning, so I can just have that if ever I need it. And at this point, the goal is just make sure to remain hydrated and eat as much as you can throughout the day and avoid throwing up as much as possible. And as long as you're able to do that, even if you're not eating as much as you should, at least you're keeping your body strong enough that it can deal with everything. And turns out that is the reason why, even though I've been sleeping a lot recently, I am still feeling tired. It's just because of the lack of food, the potential lack of hydration and stuff like that. So that does explain why that's been happening. So for now, everything is okay. Definitely not perfect, but it's okay. It can sustain me for the time being. So as long as we can keep going this way, everything's good. The only reason why I would need to go to the emergency room is if I start throwing up multiple times a day, if I can't keep things down, such as water, such as the pterodactyl pea, or the food that I'm eating. So it's like, if I'm not able to keep any of that down and I throw up multiple times a day, she's like, go to the emergency room. Like, you don't even need to call me. At that point, just go to make sure that you're getting the fluids you need. We'll, give you an IV and make sure that you're good on that front, because that's the most important thing. Anything else, any other type of symptoms, anything like that, she's like, just give me a call and I'll get back to you with an answer as soon as possible. So that's kind of the plan for now. So overall, as long as things remain relatively stable and I stop throwing up, everything should be good. It's just if the throwing up continues or intensifies and I'm not able to keep anything down, that's when I should start worrying. And especially yesterday, since I was barely able to eat anything. I was feeling nauseous all day, and the little amount of food that I was able to eat ended up coming back out. So yesterday I definitely did not eat enough. So today I'm going to try to obviously take it easy. I don't want to force my body and risk throwing up again, but that's really going to be one of my focuses today to make sure I consume enough food and enough, water, liquids so it can sustain me. So yeah, that's the update. Definitely not the perfect life, as you can tell, but things are relatively stable and it could definitely be worse. So for now, fingers crossed, things will just keep slowly getting better and better, or quickly getting better and better. That would be even better. But yeah, that seems to be the direction it's heading in. So far so good. But if ever I need to, I'll go to the emergency room. I got to do what I got to do. Um, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much a summary for everything. Got to do what you got to do. And right now, I got to go. Oh, I missed it.